Welcome, everyone. This is episode 34 of Hard Knock Hawks. I'm Anthony, along with Chris, Leon, and Marco. And this is the podcast where we talk about our favorite NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks, and sometimes other stuff in the NBA. Today, or I should say tonight, we're going to be talking about the Atlanta Hawks hiring two new front office executives to help with the current president of basketball operations, Onsi Saleh, and the current state of the NBA Finals that we just watched. It's right now. I should say, Game 3 just ended an hour ago. Pacers lead 2-1. We have our own thoughts about that we're gonna talk about in a few minutes, and we're gonna get into it right away. So I'm just gonna start with you, Marco. What's your thoughts if you watched Game 3 about the finals game, and what you think the Hawks could possibly learn from it?
The Hawks can learn to build a real team. I think
That's it.
that's
Oh
the
my
real
god.
that's the real counter from it, man. Build a real team. Like I've said it before and I said it again. Draft history has hurt us so bad. That's why we're not in the position of these teams, is because we had one turn to a church man. One dude has one shoulder. Cam Reddish, I don't even think he's in the league anymore. And Dre is Dre, So I think our last little pick on Yeka, Jalen, and maybe Risa are like our saving grace for right now for draft history top wise. Other than that, man, they just need to learn how to build a good team. How about you, Chris?
I mean, what I've learned is that coaching really matters. I think in these like big games, right? You got two solid rosters are playing good ball, but I think when it comes down to these games, it's the small choices, decisions, kind of getting your team in the best position to finish these games out. And I think the Thunder are showing their inexperience. The coach, I should say, Dagnall. I think Carlisle has his guys ready, and he's got a formula that's winning in these games. And I think that the Dagnall has to figure out how to beat it, right? And I think that's kind of their issue. Now, I don't want to, take all blame off the players, because they obviously could be playing better. Chet came up a little short in this game. Game 1, he was off as well. J-Dub was off then too. But J-Dub and Shea, I think, played well enough to probably win this game. I think there's some possessions down the stretch where different personnel choices and maybe slowing the game down a little bit earlier could have played into their favor. I think they have some things to figure out as a group, and I think this is one of those experiences that the coach and everyone will grow from. Yeah, experience matters. Yeah.
Experience matters definitely on the coaching side. Obviously, Rick Carlisle's coached multiple finals, has a ring as a coach, been on the league a long time. And we know the OGs really respect Rick Carlisle. Clearly a very good players coach and also good coach. I think the biggest thing that I'm noticing is that J-Dub and Shea probably played well enough on paper to win the game. I don't think J-Dub was particularly good. And I think one thing that's really interesting when you think about it is they have a very two sons type of offense where those two guys are the main drivers. Everybody else kind of plays off them. And it's somewhat predictable. And they don't make enough advanced reads or they skip out on simple passes too often to attempt to draw contact or get into the lane or finish over or go for a tougher finish. And, down the stretch, I guess that I don't think that they trusted their teammates as much as the Pacers did each other. And, in the fourth quarter, obviously, a couple of people hit big shots, but it was a lot of different people like creating for themselves, whether it be Nembhard, obviously Halliburton, Pascal, like Miles Turner attacking the closeout. Obviously, I don't know if I said already, but Mathurin. They played harder down the stretch, and they wore Shea and J-Dub down. With their depth, right? It's a key, their depth. And TJ McConnell was making huge plays in the early fourth quarter that really, once they got that lead off, I think he had a finish around the rim, and he had a steal and a putback. I don't think they ever lost the lead after. So I think they played harder in the fourth quarter, and they made the Pacers made OKC work on defense, and the OKC let the Pacers defend one drive or two drives every possession, and like that was it. So at the end of the game, one team was a lot more tired than the other. It showed. Hell, oh man, that shot Neesmith hit like late fourth, like middle, man, not super late in the fourth, but the closeout was so tight that he could have been going to the line for one. Like those are the kind of shots you got to hit, and OKC was not putting themselves into position to even take or make those shots. And you know, you say what you want. Shea and J-Dub are great downhill drivers, but they're not the best at creating. So I think self-created threes is still an extremely valuable skill, and they're not very good at it. Tyrese Halliburton is quite good at that. Ryan Nembhard has proven in the playoffs that he's pretty decent at that. So, just something to think about. Ant, what about you, man? What's going on in these finals?
First off, I will say, like, even though I'm not like a huge Pacers fan, like I'm a part of the whole I hate Halliburton thing. The game 3, that was such a good game. That was a really, really great game. That game was just intense the whole time. They were just competing left and right. And how connected the Pacers are, it's just really hard to just coach that in a team, honestly. Like, you really have to commend Carlisle for what he's done with that Pacers team. And that's just a lot of credit to him, how the players just play that way. Like, that was just a really great performance from them. And that was really awesome to see that, honestly. But I will say that it did seem like when you mentioned that when TJ McConnell had that steal and that put back to like basically tie the game, it did seem like at that point OKC did seem tired and they started just walking up the ball more, which honestly I feel that they really shouldn't start doing that, because for me, they need to start playing faster and faster, because that's when, OKC plays their best, like in transition and stuff. So it's because I don't think OKC's necessarily shown themselves to be like a great half court team, especially compared to like a team like the Pacers. So, and I mean, you saw this year, like tonight, with the whole not being able to create threes and stuff. So, another thing is that Chet, I am a huge Chet supporter, but man, you have been getting bullied left and right over and over again these playoffs. And I don't know if they have like a clear, better option, because they've been playing Hardenstein, but he's been not being able to stay on the floor consistently. And that's just been a huge problem, because imagine if they had someone like, I don't know, like Mitchell Robinson or someone like that can actually stay on the floor like that, because that would just be huge, right? Just having a really good, strong center like that. And Arnstein hasn't, been able to fill that role so far in this series. And that's kind of disappointing, I guess, for OKC. But right now, I mean, I will ask you guys this. Even though it's only 2-1, do you think Pacers are probably favored to win the series generally, or do you think OKC are gonna maybe have a chance to come back, because they came back from a 2-1 deficit before against the Nuggets?
I think that ugh, I think that OKC did to Joker what the Pacers are doing to Shea, whereas it's a 7-game series and they're wearing him down, spreading the ball around on different people to kind of take the load off their star. That's what they did. That's how they were able to play. Obviously, Shea had some big games, but other guys played well too. When you win game 1 of a 5-game series, you have a very good chance of winning. That's basically what happened tonight. So it was first to 3 starting tonight. I'm sure that's what both coaches told their team. Is it 0-0? Like Daniel said, we gave them home court though. And now you can only get it back by taking it back. So I would expect the Pacers to be favored, because most of the time, if you go up 2-1 in the final specifically. I think they said it was 81%, so they'll probably be favorite. But obviously, when's the next game? Friday or Saturday?
It's Friday.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next game Friday. So obviously,
I mean, I think you could say
it's going to be tied up, or another team, or the Pacers are going up 3-1.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say. I mean, I think you say whoever wins the next game is probably gonna win the series.
Yeah.
At this point, they'll be burying the Thunder, but I think the Thunder can make the adjustments they need to make to win this next game. I think they'd be in good position to keep winning. Though I thought that was the case tonight, but it's just I mean, it's two good teams, right? And because of that, the Pacers aren't going to get ran off the floor in this series. They've obviously shown that they don't give up. They're going to compete the whole game. And having that TJ and Mathurin switch is great for them because I think it just gives them more options. Like to Leon's point about the two sons, right? When if Chet was doing what they expect him to do, I think they would be handling them in this series. But he's the swing factor for them, right? He's the third heat, and he's the guy that's supposed to bring it all together. And if he's not showing up in these games, and Pascal is, they're gonna lose this series. So yeah, it's pretty much all on him.
I think they. I just feel like the playmaking gap between both teams, like the pure passing gap between both teams, is really hurting OKC because they run a lot of Chet and Shea or Jada pick and roll, and they're just not hitting him when they should hit him, and that's part of what's really limiting him. Is if he's getting the ball, a lot of times he's getting it late, and he has a freer rim, they're not getting it to him, or like he's wide open at the top of the key, they're dribbling at the free throw line instead of giving it to him. The Pacers just they make the right play more consistently, not just the stars, but as a team. And I think J-Dub and they're letting these two really young stars, I guess that's J-Dub's their second star, shoot themselves out of the game. I guess Rick Carlisle likes the threes they create, shots at the rim they create. Every shot they take more than they like contested mid-range shots at the rim by J-Dub and Shea. And that's good basketball. And it's worked so far. They're up 2-1.
What do you think, Marco? You think they could come back? OKC could come back 2-1 or no?
They can.
I mean, they can. I mean, yeah, they can come back from 2-1. It's only one game. It's just how it's just how they adjust because they tried to full press the whole game because they're like, if we shut down Halliburton, that shuts down like half their offense, and you didn't really shut him down. So what you ended up doing was tiring yourself out majority of the game. So it's not like when it's time to actually crunch, you were tired. They couldn't do anything. Like I said, Chet's not shooting well. Like you expect Chet to somewhat shoot solid from three. He's like 0 for 6 tonight and some other stuff. So I'm like, yeah. I mean, but like I said, you can come back from 2-1. It's only one game. But if Indiana wins the next game, then I kind of that's the nail in the coffin. I don't see OKC coming back from 3-1.
Yeah.
Especially just how young they are, too. I just don't see them coming back from 3-1.
No shot.
Yeah, no chance.
They're not good enough at managing a game, right? Until Leon's point, they're not feeding Chet properly. You saw Rick Carlisle take advantage of I was talking about the personnel choices. The game started with Indiana just feeding Pascal on one of the guards. He's going to find a guard every possession if you're playing 4 of them. And he was just up on these guys, and he took 5 middies to get going in the game. And Chet doesn't get those 5 shots, right? And he's not going to keep getting them throughout the game. So
this is why OKC is going to take the Sheriff Fleming at pick because they need a forward who's not only physical, like J-Dub is extremely physical, but he's 6'5", and he's a shot creator for them more so than a play finisher. So they need that next big to bridge the gap a little bit, in my opinion, between Chet and iHeart. With some physicality, obviously, you can shoot. But they need somebody who's going to, like, Miles Turner. Miles Turner's not the strongest center in the NBA. And I think we all saw Miles Turner put a very lazy elbow into Chet, and Chet be out of the play.
Yeah.
If you blinked,
He
he was
doesn't
out
have
of
the
the
physical
play.
tools, man. He's just not
Yeah,
there yet.
Yeah, he's not. So they and that's what we're talking about, like strength creation. Like obviously Miles Turner is not the poster child for strength creation at the 5, but you know, you saw him do it enough tonight to help his team win. So
I mean, shoot, man. Guys built like Chet back when I was watching NBA as a kid, like Kevin Garnett. They played at the 3, like Dirk. They came in as 3s because you were not putting somebody that skinny down low to try to handle the grown men in the NBA. And I think how young the league has gotten, I think is part of like that. You have all these 4s or 5s who haven't grown in their body even close to yet. And Chet is just not strong. I think they're obviously afraid of the Pascal matchup. They're like terrified of Chet being on Pascal. And so put him on Miles Turner somehow is smarter. I don't know. It's just this guy won 68 games like with he didn't have Chet for obviously 68, but they're running double big all over people. And now they want to switch it up. And I'm like, you haven't been playing like this. You've been playing one way for weeks, right? And months. And now you want to change it up in the biggest series of everyone's life. I think he's getting
it's weird. I don't get why he doesn't trust his other guys unless he clearly doesn't think they're good enough for the playoffs, which is just another problem then. Because I mean,
realistically, iHeart was one of their guys who's passing the ball like to Chet. You know what I'm saying? He's the only dude who like moves it around the floor between these scorers. And I think they really got to find a connector. It's such an important role on a team. Someone that's like engaged and getting everyone involved as opposed to just getting their own shot.
Yeah.
I think that might have been like why they drafted like a Nikola Topic in last year's draft, obviously.
Yeah. They had Giddey doing that before they got rid of him.
Yep.
Yeah, for Caruso. I mean, you know.
But don't get me wrong, Caruso is a huge part of why they're here, but they really have to figure it out, man.
Yeah, I think like just down the stretch in this game, one team made shots, played good offense, and the other team didn't. I mean, how many blocks did the Pacers have in the fourth quarter? Like 4?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they played really well.
Yeah. I'm going to ask one final question before we move on. And this isn't necessarily, I would say, basketball related, but I know Hawks fans have like this kind of weird rivalry thing with, I guess, the Pacers. If the Pacers do win the finals, like, what would your guys' reactions be like generally? Like,
very frustrating.
I mean,
like the kid, when the Pacers made the finals, everybody was looking at Kobe Buffett sideways, and I feel bad for the kid, man. Because didn't nobody tell the Hawks to draft him?
Definitely didn't tell him.
Didn't nobody tell the Hawks to not trade him for Pascal Siakam, as the reports have stated. Kind of.
I mean, the issue with the Siakam thing is that he didn't want to be here. That's a bigger thing.
To be fair, he said he wasn't going to sign an extension with anybody. He didn't want to get traded. He was trying to chase that Supermax. He was making business decisions, and then he immediately signed for the max when he got traded. But I don't want to relitigate the Pascal thing.
But that would. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm gonna let Chris rant. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would be extremely upset if the Pacers win.
You gonna wait till after they win to do the rant?
I do hate that organization. I mean, I don't even know. The rant would only be on here. I'm not even sure how much I would be on Twitter after they win. It's just awful.
Wow. Really?
I mean, it'd be a valid crash out because it's like
he will be everywhere. His face will be everywhere. That team will be everywhere.
Listen,
it's a team that was like thrown together in the East after
that won 35 games 2 years ago.
And they put this team together just like snap of a finger, just grabbed some guys, and now they're in the finals. And the friggin' Hawks can't finish they can barely get deals across the board. It's just infuriating how many teams seem to be coming together and winning, and the Hawks were just incapable of changing up their lineup. Like these 2 moves in a year seems to be like asking for a ton. I was surprised how many trades we made at the trade deadline to even open up money. So hopefully they can get it together and get in this conversation because the East is wide open. And if Tyrese Halliburton is this close to winning a championship, there's no excuse for the Hawks to not put themselves in that conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's frustrating. You know, they identify who their girl was, made some solid trades, then they realized they needed that second hump, and they got Siakam. And this, yeah. Next topic, you know, we can't keep talking about that before I get mad too.
I'll just say one thing and then we'll move on. All this just reminds me is that in order to win
That we
championship,
took Cam Reddish.
no, you have to be opportunistic. That's all that just shows me. And the Hawks, we have cap space now. Are they gonna be opportunistic because they finally have the chance now after all these years to actually do something? And if they can't, then I don't know what we're gonna do. So
we'll I think for me it's just they got a guy. They got a guy. In 2.5 years, they put an all NBA forward with them. And made the finals, man.
And they kind of got lucky. Let's be honest. But you need luck to win championships. So
I mean, yeah, you are always
really get lucky.
Sometimes you have to be lucky. I mean,
we got lucky. We won the lottery.
Yeah. But let's move on because I can see this is about to head into a crash out or something. But we're gonna talk about these 2 hires that the Atlanta Hawks just got, and their names are Bryson Graham from the Pelicans and Peter Dinwiddie from the 76ers. So Bryson Graham was the Pelicans senior VP of basketball operations, and Peter Dinwiddie was the senior VP of strategy and analytics from the 76ers. Right now, they are working under Onsi Saleh, who is currently still the interim president of basketball operations.
He is the general manager.
Yeah. I mean, is he both? Or am I wrong? Technically,
he hasn't gotten a raise. No, he's just the general manager.
He's just general manager. They're still excuse me. Thank you, Marco.
The VP's report.
They're still technically looking for a president of basketball operations, but from what seems like currently, from other sources like Mark Stein writing and stuff, it's leaning that they may not be hiring a president of basketball operations, but we'll see. It's a bit weird, but I want to know your guys' thoughts about generally these 2 hires and what this could mean for the future of the Hawks. And I'm going to start with you, Leon.
I think I don't think this really I don't think we learned anything from this. As far as what their immediate future plans are. Because you got a guy who's in Bryson Graham, who got it out the mud, as the kids say, and really big on drafting, found a lot of diamonds in the rough for New Orleans. Over the years, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall, players I like, some of them anyway. So a couple of them I really enjoy in the Hawks for sure. And Mr. Dinwiddie, looks like he's been around the league a long time, especially the East. Hopefully, along with known capologist Onsi Saleh, those 3 can help us build a contending team soon. If they have to make that kind of team-gutting trade, so to speak, they'll have to get undrafted free agents who play good basketball or who can help across 82-game season or even in the playoffs. And, buy a second-round pick on a guy who's going to give 15 minutes a game throughout the regular postseason. Maybe not this year, but next year. That's kind of stuff you need to move forward. So hopefully, what they're attempting to do is produce a sustained winner. And the number one way to build a sustained winner is hit on your draft picks. If you hit on your draft picks, if you consistently hit on your draft picks, it's really hard to not be good. Very few teams consistently hit on their draft picks and are just bad. It just doesn't work like that. Because if you hit enough, you'll have a team of hits and you'll be good at basketball. Yeah, it's frustrating because we've cycled through a couple GMs now. In Trey Young Guerra, a lot of coaches, but it looks like it's coming together right now. So hopefully they can see it through and get to win in basketball. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to hire guys from other organizations, I think it kind of makes sense to get guys from organizations that have done the things well that you're looking for, right? And with Onsi moving up and Landry going out, I think you could kind of assume that Landry, he had a bit of a scouting background. It was likely his responsibilities as the GM or his specialty. So going out and getting Bryson Graham from New Orleans, it's a team that drafted well over the years, right? They've spotlighted some really good talent, guys that I don't think people expected to become who they became as quickly as they became, right? Trey Murphy, I think he was an older wing when he was drafted. Herb Jones was an older guy. They've both been hits. You have Zion Williamson, who they picked, just an amazing talent. I mean, you can say it's easy, but teams mess up number one from time to time. So getting Zion was great, and then Brandon Ingram, bringing him in, the Anthony Davis trade, right? They were in a tough position there, so you have to make sure you get the right guys. They didn't get Kuzma, right, in that trade. So it's a team that's made good choices in terms of personnel. They've kind of been unlucky, right? They drafted Dyson Daniels in the lottery. How the coach deployed him isn't really the decision of the GM, so you can't really blame him. I don't know that you could say blame, because that was a team that was winning almost 50 games when they were together. So, yeah, it's a good choice there. And I think Philadelphia is one of the teams on the forefront of the analytics and strategy. They're very bold. You saw what they did last offseason in terms of trying to bring in Paul George and putting all these guys together. And they just took Jared McCain, who, if he's healthy, might run away with Rookie of the Year last season. So I think you brought in two guys that strengthen your front office. Onsi gets to kind of put his stamp on that group. It's kind of natural for him to go out and make a couple hires after getting promoted. They were down a guy, right, with him moving up and Landry going out. So bringing in Bryson and the other guy's name, but bringing in these two guys. Now you're up one in that group, so you're a bit deeper. You've got guys that I think, are qualified, and they come from organizations that did the things well that we're trying to get good at, right, which is drafting better and the analytics of it all and strategy. So I think it's two really good hires, and hopefully they can get the job done. That's really all that matters from here, right? It's just getting it done. So, Marco.
It's like you guys said, man. They're two good names. I think a lot of people overreacted when they saw Graham's name on the reports because Pelicans front office for the last few years have not been the best, or team success hasn't been the best. And I think a lot of people got to remember that no matter who is the quote unquote GM on that Pelicans team, it is always David Griffin's team and the owner. It will always be that top. It'll always be their team at the end of the day. Like we complain about our ownership, but trust me, it could get way worse. But like you guys said, not going to spend too much on it because you guys are to run down. Graham is has that eye for drafting. Like you said, he brought in Herb. He's brought in Trey Murphy. Then undrafted talent, he brought in Jose. He brought in Najee. So he has that that eye for drafting, which is good, which we need because we haven't had the best luck drafting lately. We have a few hits there, but we have more misses than hits, sadly. So that's good on that part. The other guy from 76ers, I know he's from what I do know, I know he's like one of the top cap strategist people too. Pretty good with extensions. He has some experience with some of the stuff the 76ers have been doing, working under Elton Brand, bringing in guys like Paul George, player connections, all that. That's important, especially for Onsi getting promoted to GM. Again, a lot of people don't believe in Onsi, but if you listen to other people like Brad, Glenn, and all of them, they've all said the same thing. Onsi was always paid to be the number one in some shape or form. So having like two really good guys next to Onsi, so Onsi doesn't have to do all the grunt work. It's good. We're finally like forming a real front office. Tony is actually paying money because I heard both of these guys are actually getting like paid top dollar too. That's why they left their roles. They're getting like paid top dollar. So Tony is investing money into the front office. So hopefully that money translates to the roster building. And yeah, that's all I have to say about those guys. What about you, Ant?
I'm generally, happy with these hires. Like y'all said, it's good to have more drafting experience in this front office, considering, like everyone else has said, the past few years has been, I think, not the best for drafting. Even though I would argue that for the most part in the Trae Young era, the drafting record hasn't been, I would say, as bad as people hasn't been as bad as people has said it's been. It's been fine. It's been I was
It's been okay.
It's been okay.
It's been okay.
It's not been terrible.
It's not good, but it's been okay. Like you said,
Okay.
Jalen and Onyeka paying off are like
Yeah.
really saving that history.
Yeah.
Onyeka paying off?
I mean, he's probably starting next year. I mean, we'll
Don't
see.
start this with me, man.
Well, listen. I know you're a hater. I know we got.
I'm not a hater. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm not talking.
We're talking about number 6 overall pick value right now. Just
I mean,
give it in the band. It's all what it is.
We'll see what happens next year, right? We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe, right? But
because let's see, Aaron Neesmith in the finals right now. Aaron Neesmith and Tyrese Halliburton in the finals.
That's true. That's true. But how much of that is Onyeka's fault that we paid? Well, it kind of. Never mind. Okay. The point is, the point is, I don't think it's as bad as people I think say it is when you got players like Kevin Huerter, who was a decent role player. John Collins was decent. Onyeka's been good. Jalen's awesome. Reese Shea is to be determined. We'll just see what happens. But right, Pelicans really good at drafting. It seems like Zion, great player. He's injured all the time. Trey Murphy's good, and also this is a front office that has been criticized consistently over and over again for having a clear lack of experience. So just having more experienced guys in here will just make this process easier to deal with. Having, more experienced guys makes it easier to deal with agents and stuff like that. And maybe we can actually complete deals and stuff now we have more guys, being able to have more knowledge about the NBA in here instead of just having Landry Fields, who's just a rookie GM and maybe not being able to take people seriously or something like that. It's just good to have just more experience in the in the room generally, right? My big fear is that we're still basically doing this whole collaboration thing, which is my big problem. Well, generally with the front office for the most part. And that means Tony Wrestler's just gonna have a big say in everything, which obviously you will, but yeah, I don't like that. But that's just me. But we'll see what happens as time goes on. But speaking of the draft, we're gonna talk about this. A little bit of news are these 2 or 3 conflicting reports about what we are gonna be doing in this draft. So on one hand, we got multiple reports saying that we may be possibly moving up from 13 and 22 to draft Kamen Maluach. But on the other hand, we got another report from the sideline saying that, wait, we could be staying at 13 and 22. So my question is, and I think we mentioned this before on our draft podcast, but do you think is it worth it to move up for someone like Kami Malawach, or do you guys think, well, maybe we should just stay put? And I'll just start with you, Chris.
I mean, I really like Come On. I wasn't sure about trading up for him. I go back and forth. It really depends on what they're trying to execute this offseason, right? I think I've tried not to think about any of the moves in terms of like singular players. It's more about the package of guys you can bring in to amplify this group. I think Kaman would be a great piece. Someone the Hawks really, the type of player I think that he's projected to be, especially defensively, is someone the Hawks really need. And it'd be a cost-controlled guy, right? But realistically, the value play might just be to stay where you are and see who's there at 13. I think it's a draft with a lot of interesting players and the fit range outside of the top few guys. I think once teams are picking guys that fit what they do, I think there could be some talented players that fall. So it might be better off seeing who's there and then taking another body at 22. Maybe an upside play, maybe a guy that you just have confidence that will be able to play right away in year one, give you a high floor, a defender. The Hawks really need bodies, and there's multiple ways to get them. It just really kind of depends on the best path they see forward, right? But yeah, I mean, look, you got a guy that came from Philly, and they just picked someone in the 20s. That was good, and so yeah, maybe the play is just stay where you are. Maybe you make a trade with 13 and keep 22. There's a lot of ways to go about it, but at the end of the day, I think you want to use these picks to come away with at least 2 good NBA players. And I don't really care how they do it, whether they trade them or use them. But yeah, just make sure you get 2 good guys. Leon?
The question, like, how do you feel about moving up for Kamal Malawach? Is that like the base question? Yeah, I mean, if you could do it, if he's your guy, right? If he's your guy, you can do it. And it only costs 2 picks. Please only cost 2 picks. Then I mean, I get it. You know, if he's your guy, but I'm not so sure that he alone is more valuable than, or as valuable as hitting it on 13 and 22. There's more uncertainty in that, of course. You're not 100% sure who's going to be there at 13. You have a good idea of, 3 out of 5 guys, or 4 out of 10 guys, in that post tier like 2. Like, tier 1 is Hoop and Dylan. Whether you have Dylan in a tier by himself, whatever. And then there's like a weird kind of, these guys might be all-stars one day, I think, tier. And then I think these guys will be good starters tier. And that tier is like 10 to 15 players. So you can get a good player at 13, like, easily. And if you add the value of that player to the player at 22, that might outweigh what you're getting from Kamal Malawach, at least in the short term. Like Chris said, you could trade 13 for a ready-made player, or trade 22 for a ready-made player. You could move down from 13. I don't know. Pick up a ready-made player, move down from 22 until the early second round. I don't know. There are some smart teams in the early second round that think they can move up to 22, and give up a bench player or something, some money they don't want that would help us. What the hell? Then I would do it. I don't know if you can hear me because my screen just went black, but it's cool.
Okay. What do you think, Marco?
It's like Chris and Leon said, if that's your guy and that's who you want, yeah, you take him. Of course, if that's who you feel like that's what you want, and you have some other like stronger moves after that, then yeah, Kind of like for the drive like thing purpose like in a whole, I'm kind of in the middle because like one side of me doesn't see the Hawks wanting to make two rookies, like take two rookies. I think they would rather probably move 22, get best player available at 13, and the other side is like if we trade up, it's because they just want one guy, and that's fine. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. But personally, I would probably just stay at 13, or you might try to explore some options. Like this is just throwing something out. This I'm not saying it's going to happen or is realistic, but you might try to go up with Toronto at 9, and you try to take one of the bad contracts on, and when one of your trade exceptions, like you have a $25 million trade exception you got from the DeJounte trade, you try to use that, try to take RJ's contract on and come at 9, and RJ 9 for 13. You kind of just helped each other out, then you get whatever guy you want at 9 right there. So it's like different scenarios you could take. If you feel like you want to trade both picks for NBA, like a now winning player, then that's also an option on the table. Just like you said earlier, you got to be opportunistic. So if you feel like that's helping the team, then yeah, that's perfectly fine. How do you feel, Ant?
How am I gonna think about this? I don't want to repeat what y'all said, so I'm just gonna say, personally, I wouldn't do it because
Because it's
generally,
combined.
I would. Okay, listen, I would stop shaking your head at me. And Chris is just smiling because I like he knew I was gonna say that, but like, stop it laughing at me. Okay, okay, y'all are just
I
okay.
promise if that was clinging in this draft, you would have been okay
No,
with it.
it would not. No, it would not. No, 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 no. Okay, okay. Anyway, well, I was about to say, it seems to be this draft is pretty flat, right? It seems like the same kind of value generally at like 13 to like after a certain point, right? After I would say 4 or 5, right? So
Yeah, I'll
to
say like
me,
6, and then
yeah.
after that, 6 to like 20.
So
Same.
to me,
But it's good.
I
Player.
wouldn't. I wouldn't see the value of really trading up for somebody, because what's the point of that when I can get someone as valuable at 13, right? It really doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, it just depends on how you view
Now, if I
that
really
player
like,
back then.
yeah,
It
if I
depends
really
on how you
like,
view value.
yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I think Kaman upside probably higher than whoever.
Because I mean, if Malwatch is a really good defensive center and he could potentially shoot in 2 or 3 years, then oh my god, that's crazy. Like,
And we were talking about all the skinny centers that get pushed around. He's not a skinny center that would get pushed around. He's a guy that's closer
He's
to having
elite.
his NBA
But-
body than anybody we've seen in a while, especially that size outside of.
but then again, like I could get someone like CMB who seems like he could be a really good passer. He could play the 4. He's like elite at getting at the rim. Like, there's a lot of really good players I could get at 13. So like, or I could get Cedric Coward. Like, his rise for what he's doing so far, for what he's shown at the combine, is interesting. There's a lot of really good players at 13. To me, it seems to me I can't really. I don't want to say this because as soon as they pick someone, they may just automatically be a bust or something. But the Hawks are gonna have a really hard time choosing someone wrong at 13 unless they may choose someone like Asa Newell or something, which they probably will now.
I want to interject on something. Because I am a very I've been open on I want to come on this team.
Yeah.
If I am Kaman's camp, I am pushing to come to Atlanta.
Well, I mean, because
there's no point guard that's gonna maximize.
I am
well,
pushing
it's not
to
even
come to
Korver. It's just the fit with Trey. He's gonna maximize Kaman's offense from day one, and then whatever he grows into from there. Like the first step is getting on the floor, right, and having a way to score with him on the floor will get him there, right, and then as everything comes in, like it's a really good opportunity for him.
Like in the team, out of the teams that you would have to beat to get Kaman, it's in my realistic opinion, you would have to probably beat out the Wizards. You'll probably have to beat out the Raptors and maybe the Pelicans, because it's reported that Kaman was on Graham's list since we have gotten him. So I feel like, again, if I'm Kaman's camp, Atlanta makes the most sense. You're going to get automatic PT because you're going to be a backup point guard. I mean, not point guard. You're going to be backup center day one. You have the Corver connection. This is probably the best point guard you ever played with this early in your career. Like Trey literally made Clint Capella a beast in 21 and 22, even though he's like a defensive beast still. On offense, he made Clint still get a solid 15, 20 some nights. It still was that. And you just got the Duke connection there. You got the Quinn, some other guys we have in the front office are from Duke. You got Jalen. It just makes the most sense if I was his camp. Like I wouldn't even worry if I can convince his camp to be like, hey, just deny everybody and just come to us. Like we're giving you this, we'll give you this runaway.
I mean, if that's the case, then I don't, unless a team decides that, okay, we're just gonna draft you anyway, then they're probably no team's gonna draft him probably because they know the draft.
I mean, but like I said, we thought that was gonna happen last year with a couple like Sarr literally said it to us and we didn't do it. And Tyrese literally just did it a few years back too. Like,
he went 12.
That's the reason. Yeah, he went in 12th because of like teams are actually like the only person that's been like, don't draft me, and the front office has been like, we don't care, we're gonna draft you, is Evan Mobley. That's the last time that has happened recently.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely like the fit range that I was talking about. If there's a team that has a center that they like already and they don't really have a use for Kaman, there's like so many options where he could tumble and just magically be there at 13, or if he's not at 13, right, he might be there at like 8 or 9. And then if you're the Hawks, maybe you're like it's not a crazy jump. Like the closer he gets to you, I think you're calling with 13 and maybe Kobe or maybe Terrence Mann, right? Because especially if it's a team that has a center and maybe it's a team that wants to win now and is tired of being in the lottery and they just want a veteran that they can play for 20 and 24 minutes a game as opposed to a center. And they think they can get the guy that they want a few picks later because there's so many guys that are kind of interchangeable there. Someone they went right before, right? So there's ways for them to get there. They kind of just wait it out and see what happens. There's just very few players. If Kaman falls at 13, I don't know how many guys that I would take over him. It really depends on who would be there. There's not many names. It would have to be someone crazy.
Yeah, if he does fall 13 out, like you probably just have to take him. Like, why not? There's no reason I think not to unless there's like some obviously better choice. But at that point, like who else would be there, honestly?
Yeah, you don't think many of because it'd be some offensive talent maybe, unless they could love a coward workout. Colin Murray Burrows.
I mean, controversial take. Jace Richardson.
Do
you think
I don't want to guard? So we kind of went over that on the D Lee episode. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's what I don't want every year. It's why I wasn't a big fan of the Kobe pick. I think for a team that is like, we want to fix backup point guard, we're desperate to fix. Just get an adult. It's not a role like you really need to like. Yeah, maybe if you want to draft a guy and have a project for a while and hope to get lucky, yeah. But I don't like YOLOing it, especially if you're trying to win games. Like, please just go get an adult, draft another guy, experiment. It's not great, but I mean, obviously you need players for the future, so it's really up to them. I'm not a fan of it if it happens.
But you're about to say something, Leon?
I mean, not really. I mean, everybody summed it up pretty well. I think that it's a really tough spot to analyze from the outside because there's so many ways. When you have 2 picks and you have the cap space that we have, and you have the contracts that are pretty movable, there's just going to be so much debate because there's so many avenues they can go, right? Last year we were picking at 1. It was like, okay, Are we going to trade back from one? Oh, nobody really wants to trade up to one? Okay, then we're going to pick one of three guys, and that's really it. But now you got 13, 22, and a lot of other moving parts. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, man. They have an opportunity to really take a really big step towards being a contending roster this year if they play the next 3 weeks really well. So,
Yeah,
we'll see.
but with that is gonna be the end of our podcast episode today. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we close this out?
Yeah, I got you. I got some final thoughts. Number one, I gotta say that officially all the draft capital that was traded for DeAndre Hunter, all the players that we lost out on were Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Jackson Hayes, Herb Jones, and Vince Williams Jr. and somebody named Marcos Luzada Silva, who I don't care about. But those four guys together, probably worth more than DeAndre Hunter.
We've been talking about trading for Herb Jones. People are talking about paying Nikhil Alexander-Walker. They could just be here if they didn't trade up for DeAndre Hunter. That's insane.
Yep.
Think what you could get with those guys having been here and then hitting when they're cheap. You could have traded them. I've talked about how horrible that value was for that trade before, and like the guys that it turned out, oh my God, it's just crazy. Just take the bodies. That's what we're talking about, 13-22. Like, I love Kaman as much as anybody, but take two players and see what happens.
We need the bodies, man. We
Unless
need
you're one of
young,
them into a
able
dude,
bodies.
right? If you're trading it for a guy that's good, cool. If you like, you know what I'm saying? A guy that's good. If they had traded those 4 picks for a good player, that's fine. But a DeAndre Hunter that you're hoping becomes, no, they were. Never mind.
Yeah, he was about to get to it. I knew I was gonna get him. I knew I was gonna get him. Charlotte.
Look, we can do a space tomorrow. You can let out the frustration.
Oh my God. But does anyone have any other final thoughts before we close this out?
You see my name, man. Hawks have to make a move. You can't look at OKC and Pacers and be okay with what you have. I'm sorry, but you gotta do something. Like, even if you gotta add 2 like fake all-star players, like who you can shoot a dart at the board or something. You gotta do something. You can't get passed up again. That's all I'm gonna say, because Detroit definitely is gonna want to add somebody else. They already identified their issue.
Yeah, lastly, I'll say the Hawks, they don't have as many excuses as they had before, right? They got rid of the contracts they said were holding them back. So, yeah, it's time to get the job done. And any Hawks fans out there, I want you to look up opportunity cost and then think about the DeAndre Hunter trade.
Opportunity cost. Okay.
Very funny guy.
Okay.
You gotta put that AP Econ to good work, man. Put that AP Econ to use, bro.
Well, my final thoughts are, I think the Pacers are probably going to win the series in 6 games. And I hope Nikhil Alexander-Walker is a Hawk next year. He's a free agent. And my last thought is, I beat Marco in Mario Kart. That's it. So with that,
you had to toss that in there, huh?
Yeah, I did. And I beat you.
Wow, he cooked you, bro.
Brutally. Terrible.
Ooh.
You got destroyed.
Oh my God.
So
brutally.
I got hit with like 3 red shells at the end.
Brutally.
He got
Did you hear
destroyed. So
all right, man. You got it. You got it.
Brutally. Brutal beating on the Mario Kart scene this evening.
But with that, we will see you all next time for the next edition of Hard Knock Hawks. We will see you then.